Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that may just be sitting in your pocket change right now. And today we are going to explore one of the most talked about, mysterious, and shockingly valuable coins in American history, the legendary 1982 1-cent coin that has been valued as high as $18 million because of its bizarre errors, unusual production mistakes, and the incredible story surrounding its creation and discovery. A coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and everyday people hoping to stumble upon a fortune in the form of a small copper or zinc disc that most of us overlook without realizing its potential. And to understand why this coin has become so unbelievably valuable, we have to travel back to 1982, a year that was a pivotal turning point in the history of the United States Mint, because in that year a massive change occurred. The transition from the traditional copper cents that had been produced for decades to the new zinc-based cents coated in copper, a cost-saving measure by the mint to deal with rising metal prices. But this transition did not go smoothly, and it gave rise to a fascinating set of errors, varieties, and anomalies that collectors today scramble to identify, making 1982 cents among the most studied and searched for coins in circulation, with the rarest of these errors reaching astronomical values. Like the $18 million example that continues to make headlines and spark debates among numismatists, and the story gets even deeper because 1982 was the only year in modern history where 7 different variations of the Lincoln cent were minted, including small date and large date versions struck in both copper and zinc, and each of these came out of the Philadelphia and Denver mints, leading to a chaotic production year full of opportunities for mistakes, misstrikes, and transitional errors. Which are the key reasons behind why certain coins like the legendary 1982 1-cent piece have achieved values beyond imagination, and what makes the $18 million coin so important is that it represents a perfect storm of conditions: wrong planchet, transitional composition, incorrect die pairing, off-center striking, and a small date variety that was never supposed to exist in the specific metal combination it was found in, creating a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that is essentially impossible to replicate. And when collectors talk about these mistakes, they often refer to coins that should have been made of zinc but ended up struck on leftover copper planchets, or coins that have mismatched features where a large date design was paired with a planchet intended for the small date version, and even coins with double dies where the inscriptions and numbers appear twice slightly offset, making them stand out immediately to the trained eye. And in 1982 these kinds of errors were especially common because of the rush at the mint to push out billions of coins during the composition changeover, with human error and mechanical misalignment combining to produce a treasure trove of collectible oddities. But among these, one coin stood out and was eventually authenticated, graded, and later sold for an eye-watering $18 million, a sum that shocked the coin collecting community and drew international attention. And the fact that such a tiny, ordinary-looking 1-cent piece could fetch more than luxury yachts, mansions, or even private islands highlights just how much value collectors place on rarity, history, and uniqueness, because in the coin world, rarity trumps face value every single time, and when a coin like the 1982 cent contains a blend of mistakes that may never be repeated again, its value skyrockets beyond logical limits, creating an aura of mystique and almost mythical legend around it. And what fascinates many people is that countless 1982 pennies are still in circulation, which means that there is always the possibility that another multi-million-dollar treasure could be sitting in a jar of change, tucked in a drawer, or hiding at the bottom of someone's piggy bank, waiting to be discovered. And this possibility keeps the excitement alive and fuels the hunting spirit among collectors who examine every cent from that year with magnifying glasses, scales, and microscopes, checking for weight differences between copper and zinc coins, analyzing the date sizes to distinguish large and small variations, and looking for doubling in the lettering of Liberty or the phrase, "In God We Trust," as well as in the date itself. And the weight is one of the easiest ways to separate the copper coins from the zinc ones, with copper cents weighing 3.11 grams and zinc cents weighing 2.5 grams. So if you find a 1982 small date copper cent when it was supposed to be zinc, you might just be holding a once-in-a-lifetime error worth a fortune. And this is exactly how some of the rarest and most expensive examples have been uncovered, with everyday people using simple digital scales to reveal whether they have one of these million-dollar mistakes. And among these, the $18 million coin is the crown jewel because it combines not just the composition error but also the rare small date design and additional striking irregularities that make it one of a kind. A true miracle of chance that slipped through the mint's quality control unnoticed, survived circulation without being destroyed, and somehow landed in the hands of someone observant enough to realize they had struck gold with a single cent. And when we think about all the billions of coins minted in 1982, the odds of such a combination happening are almost incalculable, which explains why collectors will pay insane amounts of money to own such a piece of history, because in numismatics, it's not just about the metal or the face value, it's about the story, the rarity, and the uniqueness, and the 1982 cent has all of these factors wrapped into one tiny copper disc. And the story doesn't stop there, because the mint itself has acknowledged the chaos of that year, with historians and numismatic researchers documenting how dies were swapped, reused, and sometimes mismatched, leading to misaligned dates, odd spacing in the lettering, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, and even double-stamped coins where features appear blurred or duplicated, and these types of errors all contribute to the immense value of specific examples, especially when they are combined with the transitional metal compositions, and it is this complexity that makes 1982 cents so fascinating to study, because each coin is like a puzzle that could reveal a hidden treasure if examined closely enough, and for collectors, the thrill of finding one of these coins is priceless, but if you do find the right one, the market proves that it can literally make you a multimillionaire overnight, which is why so many people today still sift through pocket change, coin rolls from banks, or inherited coin jars from older relatives in the hopes of stumbling across one of these legendary mistakes, and when they do, stories of life-changing discoveries spread like wildfire, further increasing the allure and driving more people into the hobby, creating a cycle of excitement, speculation, and treasure hunting that keeps coins like the 1982 1 cent forever etched in history, and as more examples are discovered, authenticated, and auctioned, the values continue to rise, because demand far exceeds supply, and every collector dreams of owning a piece of the story. But the $18 million specimen remains the pinnacle, a single coin that embodies the chaos, history, and magic of numismatics, a coin that proves that even the smallest piece of change can hold unimaginable wealth. And it serves as a reminder that history is all around us, sometimes in the form of a penny that everyone else would ignore. But to the trained eye it could be worth more than any treasure chest of gold, and this is why the 1982 1 cent coin continues to capture headlines, inspire treasure hunts, and change lives. And if you're listening right now, maybe it's time to take a closer look at the pennies in your wallet, because who knows, the next $18 million discovery could be sitting right there waiting for you. Next, 1975 1 cent USA coin. Today we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, and this time it is about a 1975 1 cent coin that is making headlines and shocking collectors and investors alike because of its astronomical value of $17 million, and you might be wondering, how could a simple penny, something most people overlook or leave on the ground without a second thought, possibly be worth such a fortune? And the answer lies in the extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, and peculiar circumstances that surrounded the minting of this coin, which transformed it from being just another Lincoln cent into a treasure of immense value. Now, when we talk about the 1975 1 cent coin, we must first understand that not every penny from that year is valuable, but specific coins produced under very unusual and accidental conditions have made collectors go into a frenzy, and the 1975 1 cent coin in question carries with it a series of fascinating minting errors that separate it from the millions of normal cents struck that year, starting with double die obverse errors where the image of Abraham Lincoln appears doubled, especially around his profile, his eye, and the inscriptions such as Liberty and the date 1975 showing clear doubling under magnification. This doubling is a striking minting flaw caused during the hubbing process where the design was pressed onto the die incorrectly, making every coin struck from that die a collectible anomaly. But the story does not end there, because another unique feature of this particular 1975 penny is its off-center strike, which means that when the coin blank was fed into the press it was misaligned, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted dramatically. And in this case the coin shows nearly 30% off-center error, which enhances its rarity and desirability because collectors prize coins that display both dramatic error and intact features. Now combine that with the fact that this specimen also exhibits a striking planchette error, meaning the blank metal disc used for striking the coin was flawed from the very beginning, either being clipped at the edge, slightly undersized, or even struck on a foreign planchette not meant for Lincoln cents. And reports suggest that this particular coin might have been struck on an experimental or transitional planchette which was never intended for public circulation, adding another layer of mystery and value. Furthermore, when experts examined this 1975 cent, they discovered strange die cracks running across the reverse side of the coin, creating raised lines that resemble lightning bolts across the Lincoln Memorial, which collectors love because such cracks are visible mint-made scars that prove authenticity and rarity, adding dramatic eye appeal. And even more interesting is the possibility that some of these 1975 1-cent coins were struck with proof dies that were never supposed to leave the mint. For circulation, which means they may carry sharper details, mirror-like surfaces, or frosted devices combined with circulation wear, which makes them hybrid rarities highly desirable to advanced numismatists. Now you might think these errors alone would make a coin valuable, but what skyrocketed the price of this 1975 cent into the millions is the unique combination of multiple errors on a single coin. Because while a double die error might bring thousands, and an off-center strike could bring even more, and a planchet error might command attention, when all of these converge in one coin, it becomes a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting mishaps, and rarity is always the driving force of value in the coin market. Add to that the historical context of 1975, a year when the US Mint was preparing for the nation's bicentennial celebrations and already experimenting with different dies, metals, and designs in preparation for the special 1976 coins, making it possible that transitional and experimental planchets slipped into the production line by mistake, and this background adds to the intrigue because collectors know that unusual times at the mint often produce unusual coins, and in the case of this 1975 penny it seems to have been a perfect storm of such circumstances. Now let's also discuss the possibility of human error, because mint workers handle thousands of blanks and dies every day, and during transitional years like the mid-1970s the risk of errors was even higher. Whether due to rushed production schedules, machine malfunctions, or oversight, and each small mistake compounded into a remarkable collectible, and when this specific coin surfaced in the market, collectors could not believe their eyes, with grading companies confirming its authenticity and assigning it a high mint state grade despite its errors, because error coins are graded differently from normal coins, valuing the uniqueness of the flaw rather than perfection, and with such verification in hand, auction houses presented it as one of the most important Lincoln cent discoveries ever, attracting bidders from across the globe, investors who view rare coins not only as collectibles but also as financial assets, and the bidding war pushed the value of this single 1975 1-cent coin to an astonishing $17 million, making headlines in numismatic circles and beyond. Now, why do collectors go so far for such pieces? The answer lies in the psychology of rarity and the allure of owning something truly unique that nobody else can have. Think about it, billions of pennies exist, but only one or perhaps a handful with this exact combination of errors from 1975 exist, making it a numismatic unicorn, and when scarcity is combined with historical context and dramatic visual appeal, the result is explosive value. And we cannot forget the speculative side of the coin market, where wealthy investors view such rare finds as better than gold or stocks, because coins like this not only hold value but can appreciate over time as demand grows, and the story of the 1975 cent fits perfectly into that narrative because it represents not just money but history, art, accident, and rarity all in one small copper coin. And while most 1975 pennies you find in circulation are worth face value or perhaps a few cents in copper content, this one spectacular example has redefined what is possible in the world of cents, encouraging people everywhere to look closely at their change, because you never know when you might stumble upon a fortune hidden in plain sight. And imagine the thrill of discovering a penny worth millions in an old jar of coins or inherited collection. It is stories like these that keep collectors engaged and inspire new generations to study coins, hunt for errors, and cherish the artistry of minting. And that is why the tale of the 1975 1-cent coin worth $17 million continues to captivate. It is more than just a coin, it is a symbol of how mistakes can create masterpieces, how overlooked details can turn ordinary objects into extraordinary treasures, and how the smallest denomination in American currency can sometimes carry the biggest stories. And as collectors continue to search, discuss, and speculate about the surviving examples of era 1975 cents, the legend of this coin will only grow, reminding us that history, luck, and human error can sometimes combine to produce something priceless. Last 1976 1-cent USA coin. Today we are exploring the unbelievable story of the 1976 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike, because this small copper piece of money, normally thought of as worth just a cent, has become famous for being valued at an astonishing $16 million. And what makes it so captivating is not just its age, but the remarkable and unique errors and mistakes that make it worth such an unimaginable fortune, so buckle in because this journey into numismatics, history, and the quirks of minting will open your eyes to the hidden potential sitting inside everyday coins. Now, to understand why a 1976 penny could carry a value of $16 million, we must explore the series of minting mistakes, design anomalies, and error combinations that make it stand out from billions of other coins. First, consider the year 1976 itself. America was celebrating its bicentennial, a monumental milestone marking 200 years of independence, and while quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins were specially minted with bicentennial designs, the humble penny continued to be struck in its usual format, but hidden among those ordinary strikes was one coin that slipped through with such jaw-dropping mistakes that it transformed into a legend. One of the most notable errors reported is the double die obverse, which occurs when the coin die imprints the design twice but in slightly different alignments, resulting in letters, numbers, and features on Lincoln's profile appearing doubled or blurred. On the 1976 penny, this kind of doubling particularly shows in the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and the date itself, and this doubling gives the coin a dramatic and obvious flaw that any trained collector can spot instantly. But beyond doubling, there are accounts of off-center strikes, where the image of Lincoln is shifted away from the central axis of the coin, leaving a crescent of blank planchette visible on one side and compressing details on the opposite edge. A severe off-center strike can instantly multiply value because it makes the coin visually unique, and the rarer the shift, the higher the worth. And in this coin's case, the off-center strike is combined with the doubled features, making it exceptionally rare. Then there's the matter of the planchette, the small blank disc of metal onto which the coin design is struck. Normally in 1976 pennies were made of copper alloy but transitional. Errors can occur when wrong planchets intended for other coins or other years end up in the presses. Imagine a 1976 penny accidentally struck on a silver planchette meant for a dime, or on a leftover bronze alloy from earlier years, or even on aluminum experimental planchets that were tested in the 1970s but never officially circulated. These wrong planchette errors not only make the coin unusual but nearly one of a kind, because such mishaps might have happened only once or twice. This 1976 cent reportedly shows signs of a wrong metal strike, giving it a distinct coloration and weight difference, and when certified under grading systems like PCGS or NGC, these attributes elevate its status to legendary. And still, the intrigue doesn't end there. Mint marks can also play a huge role in value. In 1976 pennies could carry a D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia, and some rare examples even show a repunched mint mark, where the D is struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like effect. Such errors are highly collectible, and when combined with the doubling, the off-center strike, and the wrong planchette, you have a perfect storm of numismatic rarity, which explains how a 1-cent coin could reach valuations in the millions, and collectors go wild because no two error coins are exactly alike. So this particular 1976 penny is not just rare but perhaps unique in the world. Now the story also takes us into the psychology of coin collecting. Because the coin market thrives on rarity, demand, and historical significance, when word spreads that a coin carries multiple high-level minting errors and that it ties to a significant year like the bicentennial, the value skyrockets. Bidding wars erupt at auctions, private collectors compete, and investors see it as an opportunity to own a piece of history that no one else can have. Rarity combined with condition amplifies the effect even more, so if the coin was preserved in mint state condition, with sharp luster and minimal wear, grading services might assign it MS67 or higher, and such grades can push the price exponentially upward. This is how we arrive at the astounding $16 million valuation. But let's dive deeper into the technicalities. A double die on the obverse is not easy to produce. It means the working die itself was hubbed twice with slight misalignment. So every coin struck with that die shows the error, but often only a small batch makes it out before quality control catches it, meaning only a handful survive, and the 1976 double die penny could be one of just a tiny group. Now add in the off-center strike, which requires the coin blank to be improperly seated in the collar during striking, producing a misaligned impression. Then add the wrong planchette, which could have slipped in during a transitional phase at the mint, and then the possibility of a repunched mint mark. This stack of errors is astronomically rare, practically a once in a lifetime occurrence, and that's why collectors whisper about this coin in the same way art lovers whisper about lost paintings by masters, as if it's more than a coin. It's a numismatic miracle. The excitement also stems from the fact that 1976 was a historic year for America. people remember the parades, the flags, the bicentennial spirit. So owning a penny from that year with such dramatic errors connects the owner not only to rare minting anomalies but also to the cultural heartbeat of the time, making it emotionally and historically valuable as well as financially priceless. Think of it like owning a misprinted stamp from a famous issue, or a rare misstruck baseball card. The errors tell a story, they reflect the imperfections of human and mechanical processes, and they remind us that even in mass production there is room for accidents that become treasures. What also adds to the mystique is the possibility of undiscovered varieties. Experts suggest that other 1976 pennies might exist with partial errors, perhaps less dramatic but still valuable, and this fuels the treasure hunt among collectors who check their change jars, their piggy banks, and their inherited coin collections in the hope of stumbling upon one of these million-dollar mistakes, because the truth is that valuable coins do slip into circulation. And history has shown us examples like the 1955 double-die penny or the 1943 copper penny that today sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the dream of finding a $16,001,976 penny feels real to those who know the history. Auctions have played a key role in amplifying the value too, because once a coin is authenticated, graded, and marketed at a prestigious auction house, the bidding frenzy can double or triple its worth. Wealthy collectors and museums step in, celebrities who dabble in numismatics sometimes join, and the media coverage pushes the price higher. In some ways the coin's value is as much about storytelling and prestige as it is about metal. The legend grows, and with each retelling the coin becomes more mythical. Some numismatists even debate whether it could be the rarest penny in American history, rarer even than the 1909 RSVDB or the 1944 steel cent, because this coin combines multiple error categories in a single specimen, and that's nearly unheard of. Imagine the odds of a double die, off-center strike, wrong planchette, and repunched mint mark all colliding in one coin. It's like lightning striking 4 times in the same place, and it happened in 1976, in the middle of America's bicentennial celebration, making the story too perfect to ignore. Now one might wonder how such a coin could escape the mint without detection, but errors often happen in busy production years when millions of coins are being struck at high speed. Quality control cannot realistically check each coin, so some slip through, and employees themselves might not notice the mistakes until much later. The survival of this penny is a testament to chance, and its discovery is a reminder to all of us that great treasures can be hidden in the most ordinary objects. Collectors emphasize that condition matters almost as much as rarity, so if this coin remained uncirculated, perhaps saved accidentally by someone who kept a shiny new penny in 1976 as a keepsake, that preservation explains how it could reach mint state levels decades later, and this accidental foresight adds another layer of fascination. Because the coin not only escaped mint detection but also avoided the wear and tear of daily use, this combination of survival, preservation, rarity, error, and history is what culminates in the jaw-dropping price of $16 million, and it encourages all of us to look more closely at the coins in our pockets, to check the details, the dates, the mint marks, the edges, the surfaces. Because who knows what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. The 1976 penny story is not just about money but about the human desire to collect, to preserve, to connect with history, and to own something unique, something no one else in the world can claim.